Now that we had the targeted revision, we should very much focus on the benefits of the system of posting of workers, since it has received quite a lot of negative connotations in the last years, actually. And now it's really the time to emphasize what we can be gained from labor mobility in general, but also from posting of workers and how we can stimulate that. From a European Union perspective, actually, labor mobility and also posting of workers can play an important role in stabilizing economies when they are faced with an asymmetric shock, as we have seen in the financial crisis, where labor mobility can be a certain buffer to these shocks, and this has been much more pronounced in the US, which has a lot higher labor mobility than the EU, so there is still, let's say, unused potential.
Posting is only a marginal part of mobility in Europe. So the classical mobility in Europe is what we call the free movement of workers, and then the main principle is equal treatment. Posting is a different thing, because when you talk about posting, workers didn't decide to move to another member state. It's the employer who decide that they should go temporarily for short or longer period, but temporarily to another member state in the interest of the employer, because they have a contract to fulfill, etc. And so we have different rules which have been revised recently in the directive which was adopted in June.
We have the directive which was adopted in 2014, the Enforcement Directive for Posting of Workers, which created a sort of trend within the member states to impose stricter registration requirements. So now we are at the point that these really become a burden, and so member states have to be aware that they are limiting the internal market, especially for people who are not suspicious of social dumping. We are talking about high-skilled workers which, well, earn much more than the minimum salary or remuneration.
It's a huge problem for us. We have nearly 50% export to the European Union, and in every country have this problem of posted workers, and it's a huge problem for us. It's more difficult to post a worker within the European Union than to the United States, for example. To send to the US is only to fill out a ESTA visa, and it's good for 2 years. And within the EU, there are different laws in each country another, and it's very difficult to investigate what is relevant for what country.
My main message would be that the EU legal framework on this specific aspect, which is the Enforcement Directive adopted in 2014, it's very flexible. It gives the member states lots of flexibility in implementing the rules. The disadvantage of this approach is that, of course, the formalities in member states are different. When you go there, when you post workers, you are required different things from France, Austria or Portugal. And I perfectly understand the position of SMEs who say that it makes their life difficult because they have to deal with different web interfaces, putting online different documents, the issues with translation, etc. On the other hand, I think it's very much an issue which should be dealt with by member states themselves.
There are a lot of avenues for action at national level and at EU level. For example, e-governance is one of the big issues that we can learn from some member states and practices. Particularly for the European institution is to raise awareness on what are the rights and obligations in other member states and how we can facilitate the posting companies to actually get a very quick overview and reduce their information burden.